A faint shimmer in the night sky hinted to the vast and silent war preparations taking place deep within the infinite expanse of space. Earth's defenders had taken a bold gamble that many believed was either an act of desperation or unparalleled genius. Long before the threat of extraterrestrial incursion reached its zenith, a small cadre of visionary strategists had wondered, why must starships remain built in orbital dockyards or planetary factories? Earth had an abundance of asteroids drifting through the solar system, some of them near enough to be guided with precise bursts of propulsion. If one could shape those spinning rocks, carve out their interiors, and retrofit them with engines, shielding, weapons, and living quarters, then maybe, just maybe, humanity could surprise its future foes by attacking them with the very rubble that had once threatened Earth with extinction. Why fight the cosmic debris when one could harness it? The grand experiment began quietly. At first, a handful of retired explorers and scientists spent their days in research stations on the moon, scanning the solar system for the ideal asteroids. They had been entrusted with a project so classified that even calling it top secret was a gross understatement. The public believed these asteroids were being studied for theoretical resource extraction. In a sense, that was partly true. But the real objective was more audacious: transform the lifeless, unassuming chunks of ancient matter into silent instruments of Earth's defense. The impetus was clear. Humanity had learned of the looming threat from intercepted transmissions drifting through the cosmos, a technologically advanced species known as the Nezir. While the exact timing of an attack was unknown, the transmissions made their intentions plain. Their empire had conquered star systems before, and Earth, with its watery world and strategic location, was next in line. In the past, humanity had prepared for war with massive fleets of gleaming steel and composite hulls, but those had always been overshadowed by the militaries of advanced species that could bring centuries of experience to bear. This time, Earth's leadership united in a historically rare moment of total global consensus, approved an extraordinary measure. The strategy was hidden within think tank dossiers and sealed behind countless layers of official denial. The final product: a covert asteroid fleet, weaponized and concealed in the darkness. As months turned to years, work proceeded. Mining lasers and nanotech engineering pods bored deep within the chosen rocks, carving out corridors, hangars, and command centers. Immense propulsion arrays were inserted into excavated cavities, aligned with the asteroid's center of mass to minimize the unpredictability of their natural rotations. Scientists constructed self-sustaining life support systems fed by algae fields. Engineers installed thick plating on internal walls, ensuring that the outer surface still retained its original craggy texture. From the outside, these asteroids looked perfectly normal. Up close, they were labyrinthine hives of advanced weaponry and vigilant crew members, all prepped to activate at a moment's notice. Ezekiel June, a seasoned pilot in Earth's new Spacefarer Corps, sometimes found himself laughing in disbelief at the scale of the operation. He commanded a small squadron of fighters, hidden inside one of the largest asteroids, codename Ister 6. From the outside, it was an irregular hunk of rock about 8 kilometers in diameter, pockmarked from ancient collisions. Inside, it was a bustling fortress of 1,000 crew, including weapons specialists who controlled railguns, missile batteries, and advanced energy cannons hidden behind retractable plates of the asteroid's crust. Generators churned quietly in the bowels of the fortress, just loud enough for the crew to feel the subtle hum in their boots. The entire place felt half cavern, half warship, and yet, from the vantage of any scanning technology, it only registered as a lump of iron, nickel, and stone. Ezekiel was always aware of how precarious it all seemed. One day, he stood on a walkway overlooking the fighter launch bay, watching a flurry of maintenance crews dismantle a damaged thruster from a small craft. The test flights had been rigorous. In the short microgravity environment, the agile fighters had to be launched at precisely calculated moments, else they'd spin out of control or collide with the launch bay supports. But each day, the team grew more confident. Shaking his head in admiration, he turned to his friend and fellow pilot, Sasha Stone. "Can you believe it?" Ezekiel said quietly, glancing up at the seemingly endless rock ceiling overhead. "We're standing inside a giant floating boulder, about to wage war on an enemy we've never even seen." Sasha gave a half-smile. "I never saw myself as a modern-day Trojan. But here we are, hidden in our wooden horse, only it's made of iron and stone. I guess the ancients would appreciate our flair for irony." They both turned to watch as a new shipment of supplies arrived from an Earth supply frigate, carefully docking at a disguised port near the asteroid's equator. Tasha noted that, soon, all available loadouts would be tested ahead of the final readiness report. It was only a matter of time before the Nezir arrived. The transmissions had grown more frequent, and intelligence gleaned from outposts near the edge of the solar system indicated that the enemy was on the move. Meanwhile, across the asteroid belt, near Jupiter's colossal presence, other hidden fortresses also prepared. There were at least a dozen asteroids scattered in strategic arcs, some smaller, some vast, each outfitted with an array of armaments. Some housed drone factories that used raw materials to continuously craft new weapons. Others specialized in infiltration crafts for recon missions near the Jovian moons. All of them were connected by a communications network that used quantum entanglement to remain invisible to eavesdroppers. In principle, the Earth Command Center on the Moon could coordinate and issue orders in near real time, but only upon the outbreak of hostilities. Until then, the entire network sat in radio silence, quiet as space, waiting. Eventually, the silent vigil was broken. On a calm morning in the Sea of Tranquility, the sensor stations detected an anomaly, an ephemeral ripple, subtle enough that it might have been overlooked were it not for the hyper-vigilant watchers, but it was no normal cosmic phenomenon. The Nezir had arrived, folding into the solar system via a slipstream corridor. They established an advanced base on a lonely chunk of rock beyond Neptune's orbit, from which a squadron of sleek warships advanced inward. Their arrival sent a jolt of tension across Earth's scattered defenses. Although Earth's outer fleet, the more conventional starships, rushed to intercept, they were systematically overwhelmed. The Nezir's technology outclassed them, and within days the battered remains of the outer fleet retreated closer to home, hoping to draw the invaders into the hidden trap. The news of the outer fleet's defeat spread quickly throughout the underground complexes of the secret asteroid strongholds. Morale wavered at the thought of so many brave souls lost, but with final calibrations nearly complete, the crews readied themselves for the showdown. Many prayed that this Earth gambit would work, that the concealed nature of these strongholds would hold up against Nezir sensor sweeps. In the thick rock walls, the humans believed they had more than enough camouflage, yet no one was certain. The enemy had proven adept at scanning for hidden signatures. When the Nezir approached Jupiter, their commander, High Lord Varkal, dispatched a vanguard to run reconnaissance among the swirling Jovian moons. Streams of drone ships fanned out, scanning for signs of hidden bases. They discovered wreckage from old Terran satellites and the occasional automated mining vessel, but no significant defense installations. On the surface, it appeared that Earth had not had enough time or resources to build anything advanced there. Sealed behind labyrinthine corridors, Bria, young lead engineer of one of the statue-like asteroids drifting near Jupiter, studied the incoming data. The vantage from their covert observation posts revealed the Nezir's sleek wedge-shaped warships, bristling with weaponry. She marveled at the signs of the invaders' mastery of gravitational manipulation. The enemy ships maneuvered with eerie confidence, as though ignoring inertia. Had Earth tried to oppose them in open warfare with conventional fleets, the outcome would have been grim. Yet, here they were, listening in from inside what looked like a jagged piece of cosmic flotsam. The opening salvo of Earth's new strategy came a few nights later. The Nezir warships ventured too close to a cluster of asteroids that had seemed innocuous enough. Without warning, the outermost fortress asteroids pivoted under the impetus of hidden thrusters. Sizable hatches slid open along their surfaces, revealing arrays of railguns. In an instant, Hyper-axolated slugs tore across the void, slamming squarely into the unsuspecting vanguard. The first barrage obliterated multiple Nezir ships before they could raise shields. Then, the Fortress asteroids fired again, sending shockwaves of panic and confusion rippling through the alien armada. More of the warships took crippling blows. Before the Nezir realized the origin of these attacks, several of their leading vessels were in flames. On the Istar 6 asteroid, Ezekiel watched the sensor displays, transfixed by the spectacle of the ambush. The Fortress asteroids had remained undetected until the moment they fired. Now everything was chaos. Sirens blared in the Istar 6 corridors. He ran for the fighter hangar, where Sasha and the rest of the squad were already strapping in. Within minutes, they launched into the void alongside dozens of small fighter wings, racing out of hidden bays in the asteroid. In the swirling confusion, the Nezir tried to regroup, but sporadic blasts from hidden railguns struck them from multiple angles. Devoid of any large target to focus on, they couldn't immediately concentrate fire. The enemy's formation tore apart under the unexpected onslaught. At the heart of it all, the humans' rocks with rockets strategy reaped a devastating toll on the invaders. For centuries, civilizations had seen asteroids as threats or as raw resources, but no one had imagined them as warships. The sheer mass of these massive planetoids absorbed or deflected the enemy's hurried bombardments. In some places, certain outer layers were obliterated, but the key compartments remained safe. The asteroid fortresses fired back, raining down railgun slugs, torpedoes, and pulsed energy beams. Ezekiel's fighter squadron darted in and out, targeting the alien warship's engines. Amidst the boiling swirl of debris, the hum of laser blasts, and glittering sparks of shattered hulls, humanity struck blow after blow. Yet the Nezir, though surprised, were not easily routed. Their advanced weapons soon dug into the outer layers of the Fortress asteroids. On the face of one of the smaller strongholds, a well-placed antimatter charge blew open a portion of the crust, venting compressed atmosphere and scattering debris from the interior chambers. The fortress reeled, drifting off its carefully placed trajectory. A second wave of enemy ships hammered the asteroid with plasma beams. As the rock began to crack, Earth's commands signaled a retreat to the interior fleets. The fortress, heavily damaged, jettisoned violent flares from its thrusters, rolling away from the massed alien warships. The survivors within scrambled to seal compartments and salvage power systems. Ezekiel's fighters soared through a cloud of molten slag, weaving around drifting hull fragments. He flicked open a channel to Sasha. "We've got to cover that asteroid. They're out of position." Sasha's voice crackled. "Roger that. I see a hole in the enemy's flank. If we can hold them off for a minute, maybe the fortress can realign." Together, their squadrons swooped in, unleashing a coordinated volley of missiles that forced the Nezir's immediate forward line to scatter. As the aliens scrambled to shield themselves, the battered asteroid fortress adjusted, resecuring its orbital stance. For the moment, it held. Back on Earth, the populace watched and carefully filtered updates. In mainstream media, only general bulletins were released. Earth's forces engage invading fleet. But rumors spread about an extraordinary trick, about ghost ships hidden in the asteroid belt. For those in the know, the results spoke for themselves. In the first major engagement, the Nezir lost over 24 warships, with Earth's Fortress asteroids suffering damage but remaining operational. This was more success than Earth had ever dared hope for. Still, the war was from over. More Nezir ships emerged from deep space, reinforcing their battered lines. In the subsequent weeks, battles raged across the solar system. Asteroid fortresses engaged in feints and ambushes near Saturn and Mars, always retreating into the darkness when overwhelmed. The defenders carefully exploited gravity wells, slingshot maneuvers, and the ability to hide among the cosmic rubble that littered the region. The fortresses also showcased surprising adaptability. Some housed cold fusion labs capable of producing additional drone fighters on the fly. Others sported advanced nanite repair systems that sealed structural breaches from inside. With each conflict, the Nazir realized more fully that these rocks were not easy pickings. They grew more fearful of the void around them, suspecting that any lifeless chunk might be humanity's next hidden warship. Across the fortress network, Earth's greatest minds guided the conflict. General Antonio Wu, stationed at the Lunar Command Center, orchestrated multi-pronged attacks that supplemented the asteroid ambushes with fighter runs and sabotage missions. Whenever the Nazir tried to rally for a decisive push, Wu's forces would lure them into the outer system, where another wave of dead asteroids would roar to life. The cunning tactics whittled down the Nazir war machine, fueling Earth's hope for survival. Ezekiel and Sasha found themselves on the front lines of nearly every major engagement. In one harrowing battle, near the orbit of Mars, they launched from an asteroid fortress codenamed Crimson Aegis. This fortress was an especially large one, measuring nearly 15 kilometers across. It had been shaped into a slow-rotating war platform, bristling with newly installed beam cannons. As a contingent of Nazir destroyers neared, Crimson Aegis unleashed a ferocious barrage. Ezekiel's squadron buzzed around the destroyers' flanks, peppering their vulnerable underbellies with torpedoes. A direct hit punctured one destroyer's power core, producing a spectacular explosion that lit the Martian night. The fortress soared forward, unstoppable, before ramming a second destroyer. The massive collision triggered shockwaves of shattered hull plating. Incredibly, Crimson Aegis emerged with only superficial damage, though it lost some exterior stone in the process. Between engagements, the fortress crews lived in an oddly claustrophobic environment, an uneasy mixture of disciplined vigilance and quiet boredom. The corridors were dimly lit, sometimes dank with condensation from life support systems. In the mess halls, astronauts rubbed shoulders with engineers who had spent entire shifts beneath layers of basalt repairing cables. Engines constantly rumbled, and the faint percussion of distant railgun tests rattled cutlery on tables. Even in moments of rest, the knowledge that an attack could arrive any second weighed heavily on everyone. But they carried on, motivated by the knowledge that Earth's survival depended on them. At last, after weeks of unrelenting skirmishes, the main Nazir battle group swung inward for an all-out assault on Earth. Their plan, discovered through intelligence gleaned by infiltration drones, involved focusing all available starships in a direct. If they destroyed the planet, it would be over. As the Nazir advanced, Earth's fortress asteroids formed a hidden defensive ring that spanned the area between the moon and the planet's orbit. An improvised minefield of small, unmanned asteroids, a cunning improvement on the original concept, drifted beyond them. Each was rigged to release blasts of charged particles or electromagnetic pulses when approached. It was a testament to Earth's new fearsome reputation that the Nazir advanced cautiously. Unlike at the start of the campaign, they no longer greeted cosmic rocks with complacent scorn. They tested each asteroid they encountered, scanning meticulously and occasionally firing probing shots before drawing closer. Even so, with thousands of chunks in near-Earth space, the lines between decoy and warship blurred. This was exactly what Earth's defenders wanted. The final showdown began in earnest when half of the Nazir battle group encountered a cluster of apparently live asteroids. They unleashed preemptive strikes, shattering several boulders that turned out to be inert. This bold, scorched space tactic destroyed quite a few illusions. Yet it also wasted time and energy as the real fortress asteroids circled to close the trap from the flanks. Meanwhile, Saturn-based fortresses returned from the outer system, driven by powerful thrusters to join the grand assault. The pitched battle lit up Earth's skies. Citizens gazed upward at night and saw flashes, bursts of raw incandescence, streaks of plasma that glimmered in the dome of the heavens. Some glimpsed unusual stars that moved in erratic patterns, not knowing they were observing the hidden asteroids unleashing their fury. The haunting silhouettes of battered alien warships, occasionally illuminated by railgun impacts, flickered among the constellations. In the war's crucial hour, High Lord Varkal directed the Nazir flagship, an immense dreadnought armed with destructive potential beyond anything Earth had yet faced. Perhaps the greatest threat to Earth's victory was that single juggernaut. Bristling with plasma cannons, it dwarfed entire asteroid fortresses. Its gravitational drives allowed it to maneuver unpredictably. It blasted through a line of mid-sized fortress asteroids, damaging many in a hail of unstoppable energy. As these fortresses reeled, the dreadnought advanced on the final ring of Earth's defenses. In a moment of calculated desperation, the humans executed the most dangerous maneuver in their arsenal. One of the largest fortress asteroids, Typhon, moved to intercept the dreadnought directly. Typhon had lost many of its external thruster modules in earlier battles, but it still held a single, colossal forward-facing engine. Using every ounce of remaining fuel, Typhon accelerated at a speed that surprised even its own crew. Massive metal braces locked everything down to withstand the inertial forces. The fortress braced for collision. From the vantage of the Nazir flagship's bridge, they saw a large chunk of rock barreling toward them. Its presence was no surprise. The dreadnought had been scanning it, but they had not expected it to move so swiftly. They opened fire, coring out entire sections of Typhon's outer crust. Gaping wounds exposed the fortress interior. Despite the punishing assault, the asteroid refused to slow. Sections of its interior were jettisoned to compensate for mass loss, and it corrected its trajectory. Members raced for the lifeboats as corridor after corridor was seared by enemy beams. The unstoppable momentum of Typhon hammered into the dreadnought with planet-cracking force. In a single devastating impact, the monstrous alien vessel's shields flickered out, its hull buckling under the incredible blow. Explosions rippled along the dreadnought's length. The unstoppable juggernaut of the Nezzer war machine began to break apart. In many sections, catastrophic depressurization forced the remains of the crew into the vacuum. Typhon itself was nearly destroyed by the collision. Chunks of it spun away, revealing glowing wreckage inside. But in sacrificing itself, it had shattered the Nazir's strongest warship. The final stand of Typhon bought Earth's other fortresses precious time to press the advantage. Coordinated railgun and missile strikes tore into the now disoriented Nazir squadrons. Dozens of small fighter wings, led by Ezekiel and Sasha, swarmed among them, targeting isolated ships with methodical precision. One by one, the surviving Nazir vessels fell, retreating in disarray. Some ships spun helplessly, drifting away from Earth. Others attempted to flee toward the outer system, battered and broken. By dawn of the next day, the humans had achieved what many had once dismissed as impossible. High above Earth, in the cold vacuum, the battered remnants of the Nazir fleet limped away, while the asteroid fortresses stood guard. The victory had come at a price. Several fortress asteroids were lost or irreparably damaged. Thousands of brave crew members would never return home, but the invaders, thoroughly outmaneuvered and decimated, had not succeeded in conquering Earth. In the aftermath, the battered fortress Istar 6 drifted near the moon. On its command deck, Ezekiel June and Sasha Stone stood among the exhausted crew. The swirling dust and debris cast an almost mystical glow in the star-studded sky visible through observation windows. The hum of the fortress's systems sounded strangely comforting. Reports of destruction and heroism scrolled across the screens. "We did it," Sasha said softly. She sounded at once triumphant and heartbroken. "But I can't believe how many we lost." Ezekiel exhaled. "Hard to believe the plan worked as well as it did. I never expected Earth to come out on top in a straight fight. Turns out, it wasn't so straight after all." He gazed at the dusty walls. In their darkest hour, humans had turned to the primordial rubble that once threatened to obliterate Earth in prehistoric collisions. Now those ancient asteroids had served as Earth's shield and even its sword. He closed his eyes, imagining that from beyond the solar system, other would-be conquerors might be shaking their heads in disbelief. "You know," Sasha ventured, "maybe this is just the beginning. If we can do this with our local asteroids, think what we could do further out. There's talk of forging alliances, forging entire networks of planetary neighbors who might adopt the same strategy to defend themselves." Ezekiel nodded. "Yeah, but for now we can finally breathe." May it be a warning to any others out there who think humanity is an easy target. We have quite a few more surprises in store. Word spread throughout the galaxy at the speed of rumor. Earth had turned rocks into warships, and won. Some found it impossible to believe. Others simply marveled at the unorthodox brilliance. For centuries, spacefaring civilizations had recognized asteroids as hazards or resource troves, but never had anyone seen them as cunningly weaponized in that manner. Earth had carved history with a flourish that no cosmic power would soon forget. In the shadows of the solar system, the silent watchers of the battered but unbowed asteroid fleet remained. Human ingenuity manifested in ancient stone, quietly turning tragedy into triumph. Now, with the Nezra's broken vessels drifting into the outer reaches, the system belonged firmly to humanity once more. Within the labyrinth of tunnels still intact on Istar 6, there was no cheering or grand celebration, only respectful silence. A hush descended in those corridors, punctuated by the distant hum of the generators and the occasional hiss of the ventilation systems. Crew members wept for lost comrades and gazed out of narrow viewports at the blackness where fragments of the recent battle floated like silent memorials. Slowly, repairs commenced. New relationships were forged across once divided nations, unified under a single cause. A freedom noop, that Earth's greatest weapons lay not merely in technology, but in innovation and unity. Days later, as the first sunrise after victory reached them, the fortress asteroids basked in the sun's rays, their surfaces glowing faintly. Though battered, they were still undeniably alive, and from Earth's vantage point, they were more than lumps of stone. They were beacons of resilience and symbols of a world that refused to yield to any greater power. Earth's defenders watched with renewed pride, understanding that they had harnessed the oldest building blocks of the solar system and turned them into guardians of humanity's future. In the months and years ahead, Earth would refine this new fleet. Patch by patch, corridor by corridor, the hidden cavities would be remodeled for improved comfort, better defenses, and more advanced systems. Historians would debate for generations how close humanity had come to annihilation and how astounding their victory truly was. But in that moment, no grand words or triumphant parades were necessary. The battered fortresses drifting in the vacuum spoke for themselves. Earth had faced an impossible threat and risen to meet it with imagination that literally emerged from the rubble of ancient cosmic collisions. Life had found a way, forging battleships from dust, ensuring that the next time the galaxy looked upon Earth, it would do so with caution and respect. As the final communications from the Nezir vanguard fell silent, one thing was certain. No longer could Earth be dismissed as a backward frontier planet with meager defenses. It was now a world scarred by war, yet forging new alliances. A species hardened by the challenges of cosmic conflict, all the while embracing the creative tenacity that had carried it so far. And while the fortress asteroids floated quietly in their orbits, watchful and vigilant, humanity took a rare breath of peace, knowing that for the first time, the darkness of space was not only their greatest danger, it was also their greatest shield.